Hey, wisdom seekers! Today we're diving deep into something that's going to blow your mind: the 9 unmistakable signs of stupid people, viewed through the lens of ancient Stoic wisdom. And trust me, this isn't your typical how to spot a fool video. We're going to explore how these traits not only affect the people who have them, but how they might be secretly sabotaging your life without you even knowing it. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to identify these traits, understand their impact through Stoic philosophy, and most importantly, learn how to avoid falling into these traps yourself. But before we dive in, here's something that might shock you. Studies show that 65% of people overestimate their own intelligence. Think about that for a second. Are you one of them? Stay tuned, because what I'm about to share might completely change how you view yourself and others around you. The first and perhaps most glaring sign of a stupid person is their complete inability to admit when they're wrong. This isn't just about stubbornness. It's about a fundamental flaw in character that the Stoics warned us about centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that the ability to change one's mind when presented with new evidence is a mark of true intelligence. When someone refuses to acknowledge their mistakes, they create a prison of ignorance around themselves. Their ego becomes their master, and their growth comes to a complete standstill. This resistance to admitting errors doesn't just affect their personal development. It poisons their relationships, stunts their career growth, and creates a ripple effect of problems in every aspect of their life. The psychological impact of this trait is devastating. Research shows that people who can't admit mistakes experience higher levels of stress, anxiety, and interpersonal conflicts. They're constantly living in a state of cognitive dissonance, trying to maintain their facade of perfection while reality crashes against their walls of denial. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior represents a complete misunderstanding of human nature. Epictetus taught that our mistakes are our greatest teachers, and denying them is like refusing medicine when we're sick. The truly intelligent person not only admits their mistakes, but actively seeks them out as opportunities for growth. This inability to admit mistakes often manifests in subtle ways. You might notice someone constantly making excuses, deflecting blame onto others, or changing the subject when their errors are pointed out. They might even gaslight others into believing their version of events, creating a distorted reality where they're never wrong. The societal impact of this trait is equally concerning. In leadership positions, these individuals can create toxic work environments where innovation is stifled and honest feedback is punished. Their teams learn to stay silent rather than risk pointing out problems, leading to catastrophic failures that could have been prevented. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in vulnerability and honesty. When someone can't admit their mistakes, they're actually displaying profound weakness, a fear of appearing imperfect that prevents them from ever achieving true greatness. To overcome this trait, one must practice radical honesty with themselves. Start small, acknowledge minor mistakes without defensiveness. Notice how liberating it feels to simply say, "I was wrong." This simple act of humility opens the door to genuine learning and growth. Understanding this trait is crucial because it often serves as a gateway to other forms of stupidity. When someone can't admit mistakes, they can't learn from them, creating a downward spiral of increasingly poor decisions and judgments. The antidote, according to Stoic philosophy, is to embrace our fallibility as a fundamental part of human nature. As Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Each mistake acknowledged is an opportunity for a new beginning. The second sign of a stupid person is their unwavering commitment to confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out only information that confirms their existing beliefs while rejecting anything that challenges them. This cognitive trap is particularly dangerous because it masquerades as intelligence. In today's digital age, this trait has become increasingly problematic. Social media algorithms create echo chambers that reinforce our existing beliefs, making it easier than ever to fall into the trap of confirmation bias. The stupid person doesn't just fall into these traps, they actively seek them out. The Stoics understood the importance of challenging our own beliefs. Zeno of Citium encouraged his students to actively seek out opposing viewpoints, not to destroy them, but to understand them and potentially learn from them. This approach requires intellectual courage, something the stupid person lacks entirely. The psychological comfort of confirmation bias is like a warm blanket that shields us from the cold reality of complexity and nuance. But this comfort comes at a terrible price: the death of critical thinking and the ability to evolve our understanding of the world. The workplace implications of this trait are particularly devastating. Someone trapped in confirmation bias will make poor decisions based on incomplete information, resist innovative solutions that challenge their preconceptions, and create an environment where diverse thinking is suppressed. Modern neuroscience has shown that breaking free from confirmation bias requires active effort. Our brains are naturally wired to seek validation of our existing beliefs. The intelligent person recognizes this tendency and actively works to counteract it. The social impact of this trait extends far beyond the individual. In groups, confirmation bias can lead to dangerous groupthink, where bad ideas are reinforced and good ones are rejected simply because they don't fit the existing narrative. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a failure to live according to nature, one of the fundamental principles of their philosophy. Nature is constantly changing and evolving, and our understanding must do the same. The antidote to confirmation bias is active curiosity and intellectual humility. We must cultivate a genuine desire to understand perspectives different from our own, especially, when they make us uncomfortable. The truly intelligent person approaches life like a scientist, constantly testing their hypotheses and being willing to discard them when evidence suggests they're wrong. The third sign of stupidity is the tendency to let emotions completely override logic and reason. Now, don't get me wrong, emotions are a crucial part of the human experience. But when someone consistently bases their decisions purely on emotional reactions without any rational consideration, they're heading down a dangerous path. The Stoics had a particularly nuanced view of emotions. They didn't advocate for suppressing them entirely, but rather understanding them and preventing them from controlling our action. This is where the stupid person fails spectacularly. They become a slave to their emotional impulses. In today's world, emotional reasoning has become increasingly prevalent, partly due to social media's tendency to amplify emotional content over rational discourse. The stupid person gets caught in this emotional tornado, reacting instead of responding, feeling instead of thinking. This trait manifests in various ways, from making major life decisions based on temporary feelings to engaging in heated arguments without considering facts or evidence. It's like trying to navigate a ship using the waves instead of the stars. You'll end up completely off course. The workplace impact of emotional reasoning can be catastrophic. Someone who can't separate their emotions from their decision-making process will struggle with leadership, team collaboration, and problem-solving. They'll create drama where none needs to exist. Modern psychology has shown that emotional reasoning often stems from a lack of emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions effectively. The stupid person lacks this crucial skill, allowing their emotions to hijack their rational thinking processes. The social consequences of emotional reasoning are equally severe. Relationships suffer when someone consistently prioritizes their emotional reactions over logical consideration. They might burn bridges over minor misunderstandings or make life-altering decisions based on temporary feelings. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. As Epictetus taught, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The stupid person fails to recognize this distinction. The solution lies in developing emotional awareness while maintaining rational perspective. It's about understanding that feelings are important data points but shouldn't be the sole basis for decision-making. This balance between emotion and reason is what the Stoics called practical wisdom. the ability to navigate life's challenges with both heart and mind working in harmony. The fourth sign of stupidity is perhaps one of the most telling: a complete lack of intellectual curiosity. This isn't just about being uninterested in quantum physics or philosophy. It's about having zero desire to understand how anything works, from simple everyday phenomena to complex human relationships. The Stoics believed that every moment presents an opportunity for learning. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "There is nothing that does not teach us something." The stupid person, however, remains willfully ignorant, content to float through life without questioning or understanding. This trait is particularly dangerous in our current age of information abundance. When someone lacks intellectual curiosity, they not only miss out on knowledge, but also become susceptible to manipulation and misinformation. They accept surface-level explanations without ever diving deeper. The impact on personal growth is devastating. Without intellectual curiosity, there's no drive to improve, no desire to understand different perspectives, and no ability to adapt to changing circumstances. It's like having a powerful computer but never turning it on. In professional settings, this lack of curiosity translates to stagnation. These individuals never seek to improve their skills, understand new technologies, or grasp emerging trends. They become obsolete, not because they can't learn, but because they won't. The social implications are equally significant. Without curiosity about others' perspectives and experiences, these individuals cannot develop genuine empathy or meaningful connections. They remain trapped in their narrow worldview, unable to grow or adapt. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a failure to fulfill our potential as rational beings. Epictetus emphasized that our capacity for reason and understanding is what sets us apart. Failing to use this capacity is a form of self-imposed imprisonment. The psychological impact extends beyond mere knowledge acquisition. Research shows that intellectual curiosity is linked to better mental health, greater life satisfaction, and more successful aging. The stupid person misses out on these benefits entirely. The solution lies in cultivating wonder, starting to ask why and how about everything around us. It's about developing the habit of questioning our assumptions and seeking deeper understanding. This trait often serves as a foundation for growth in other areas. Once someone develops genuine curiosity, they naturally begin to overcome other forms of stupidity through their desire to learn and understand. The fifth sign of stupidity is the inability to see nuance, the tendency to view everything in absolute terms of black and white, good and bad, right and wrong. This rigid thinking pattern reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of life's complexity. The Stoics understood that reality exists in shades of gray. As Seneca noted, nothing is completely good or evil, everything depends on how we use it. The stupid person fails to grasp this essential wisdom, instead clinging to simplistic categorizations. This trait manifests in various harmful ways, from making snap judgments about people to holding extreme political views without understanding the complexities involved. It's like trying to navigate a world of infinite colors while only being able to see in binary. The psychological impact is severe. Black and white thinking creates unnecessary stress and anxiety as people struggle to force complex situations into oversimplified categories. It leads to constant disappointment when reality fails to match their rigid expectations. In professional contexts, this trait can destroy team dynamics and innovation. Someone stuck in black and white thinking cannot appreciate creative solutions or understand compromise. They become obstacles to progress rather than facilitators of it. The social cost is equally high. Relationships suffer when someone can't acknowledge the complexity of human nature. They categorize people as either friends or enemies, missing the rich tapestry of human interaction and growth. Modern psychology recognizes this as a cognitive distortion that can be overcome through practice and awareness. The intelligent person learns to embrace complexity and uncertainty, understanding that most situations require nuanced thinking. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a failure to align with nature's complexity. As Marcus Aurelius observed, everything is interconnected and multifaceted. Refusing to see this interconnectedness leads to poor judgment and unnecessary suffering. The antidote lies in practicing perspective-taking and deliberately seeking out the gray areas in life. It's about training ourselves to pause before making absolute judgments and considering alternative viewpoints. This development of nuanced thinking opens doors to better decision-making, more meaningful relationships, and a deeper understanding of both ourselves and the world around us. The sixth sign of stupidity goes beyond mere laziness. It's chronic procrastination coupled with a complete lack of awareness about its consequences. This isn't about occasionally putting things off. It's about a persistent pattern of delaying important actions despite clear negative outcomes. The Stoics viewed time as our most precious resource. Seneca wrote extensively about the foolishness of wasting time, noting that we are not given a short life, but rather we make it short through our actions. The stupid person fails to grasp this fundamental truth. This trait reflects a deeper problem with delayed gratification and future planning. While everyone procrastinates sometimes, the chronic procrastinator builds their entire life around avoiding necessary but challenging tasks, creating a cascade of problems. The psychological impact is insidious. Chronic procrastination creates a cycle of stress, anxiety, and self-loathing. The procrastinator knows they should act, but doesn't, creating internal conflict that drains their mental and emotional energy. In professional settings, this trait can destroy careers and opportunities. The chronic procrastinator consistently underperforms, misses deadlines, and fails to prepare adequately for important events. Their potential remains forever unrealized. The social impact extends beyond the individual. Chronic procrastinators often burden others with their delays, creating resentment and damaging relationships. Their inability to manage time affects everyone around them. Modern research shows that procrastination isn't just a time management issue, it's an emotional regulation problem. The stupid person uses procrastination as a coping mechanism, trading long-term success for short-term emotional relief. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a failure to exercise our fundamental power of choice. We always have the ability to act in accordance with reason, but the procrastinator repeatedly chooses against their own best interests. The solution involves developing both emotional awareness and practical strategies. Understanding why we procrastinate is as important as learning techniques to overcome it. This trait often serves as a gateway to other forms of self-sabotage, making it particularly important to address. Breaking free from chronic procrastination can be the first step toward greater life effectiveness. The seventh sign of stupidity is a stubborn refusal to step outside one's own viewpoint. This goes beyond mere close-mindedness. It's an active resistance to even considering alternative perspectives or attempting to understand different worldviews. The Stoics emphasize the importance of perspective-taking as a crucial skill for wisdom. Marcus Aurelius regularly practiced viewing situations from multiple angles, understanding that truth often reveals itself through different lenses. The stupid person remains trapped in their singular viewpoint. This trait manifests in an inability to empathize with others, understand different cultural perspectives, or adapt to changing circumstances. It's like being stuck in a room with one window and refusing to look out of any other windows in the building. The psychological impact is profound. When someone can't change perspectives, they become increasingly isolated in their own mental bubble. Their understanding of the world remains shallow and incomplete, leading to poor decision-making and limited personal growth. In professional contexts, this trait can be career-ending. Modern workplaces require collaboration across cultures, departments, and viewpoints. Someone who can't shift perspectives will struggle to work effectively with others or adapt to organizational changes. The social consequences are equally severe. Relationships require understanding others' points of view, and someone who can't do this will struggle to maintain meaningful connections. They often find themselves increasingly isolated, wondering why others don't get them. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a fundamental misuse of our rational faculties. As Epictetus taught, we have been given the ability to examine our impressions and view things from different angles. Failing to use this ability is a form of self-imposed blindness. Modern psychology emphasizes perspective-taking as a key component of emotional intelligence and mental flexibility. The inability to shift perspectives often correlates with higher levels of conflict and lower levels of life satisfaction. The solution lies in deliberately practicing perspective-taking as a daily exercise. Start with small things. Try to understand why someone might drive differently, work differently, or think differently than you do. This skill becomes increasingly crucial in our interconnected world, where success often depends on our ability to understand and work with diverse viewpoints and approaches. The eighth sign of stupidity is a complete inability to handle feedback constructively. This isn't just about disliking criticism, it's about having such a strong adverse reaction to feedback that personal growth becomes impossible. The Stoics viewed feedback as a gift, an opportunity to see ourselves more clearly and improve. As Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The truly stupid person, ironically, cannot accept this wisdom. This trait often manifests in defensive behavior, emotional outbursts, or complete shutdown when receiving even mild feedback. It's like having an allergic reaction to the very medicine that could heal you. The impact on personal development is catastrophic. Without the ability to receive and process feedback, blind spots become permanent, weaknesses remain unaddressed, and potential remains forever unrealized. In professional settings, this trait can create toxic work environments. Someone who can't handle feedback often becomes defensive, creates conflict, and stifles the honest communication necessary for team success. The psychological cost is significant. Living in constant resistance to feedback creates chronic stress and anxiety. These individuals spend enormous energy defending their ego rather than growing and improving. From a Stoic perspective, this represents a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. We are inherently imperfect beings capable of growth, but growth requires acknowledging our imperfections through feedback. Modern research shows that the ability to handle feedback constructively is one of the strongest predictors of career success and personal development. The stupid person, by rejecting feedback, rejects their own potential for growth. The solution involves developing emotional resilience and reframing feedback as information rather than attack. It's about understanding that feedback is about our actions and choices, not our worth as human beings. Learning to handle feedback well opens doors to rapid personal growth and development, making it one of the most valuable skills we can cultivate. The final and perhaps most destructive sign of stupidity is the perpetual victim mentality, the belief that one's life circumstances are always someone else's fault, and that personal agency doesn't exist. The Stoics were crystal clear about personal responsibility. As Epictetus taught, it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The stupid person refuses to accept this, instead blaming everything and everyone else for their circumstances. This trait manifests in constant complaining, finger-pointing, and a complete abdication of personal responsibility. It's like playing a game where you've convinced yourself that you have no control over the moves you make. The psychological impact is devastating. When someone believes they have no agency in their life, they create a self-fulfilling prophecy of helplessness and failure. In professional contexts, the victim mentality prevents growth and advancement. These individuals never take initiative, always find excuses for poor performance, and create negative energy that affects entire teams. The social cost is enormous. People eventually tire of the constant negativity and blame shifting, leading to isolation and reinforcement of the victim narrative. From a Stoic perspective, this represents the ultimate form of self-imposed slavery. By refusing to acknowledge our power of choice, we surrender our fundamental human dignity. Modern psychology recognizes this as learned helplessness, a condition that can be overcome through conscious effort and reframing of our relationship with adversity. The solution lies in gradually reclaiming personal responsibility and recognizing our power to choose our responses to circumstances, even when we can't control the circumstances themselves. This shift from victimhood to agency is perhaps the most transformative change a person can make in their life. Now that we've explored these 9 signs of stupidity, you might be feeling a mix of recognition and concern. Maybe you've spotted some of these traits in others, or more importantly, in yourself. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step toward change. The Stoics believe that every moment offers a choice, a chance to move toward wisdom or remain in ignorance. Your watching this video shows you're already on the path toward greater wisdom. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Take a moment to reflect on these traits. Which ones resonate with you? Which ones do you see in your own behavior? Remember, the goal isn't to beat yourself up about these tendencies, but to recognize them as opportunities for growth. The path forward is clear. Start small. Pick one area where you see room for improvement and focus on that. Maybe it's practicing admitting mistakes, or developing intellectual curiosity, or learning to handle feedback better. Remember, the opposite of stupidity isn't intelligence, it's wisdom. And wisdom comes from conscious choice, consistent practice, and the courage to face our own shortcomings. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content on practical philosophy and personal development. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And most importantly, take action on what you've learned today. Let me know in the comments which of these signs you're committed to working on. Your journey toward wisdom starts now. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and remember, the power to change is always in your hand.